just kidding. That's just a Snapchat filter. I've been having a lot of fun with it recently. It's a real blast. Do you really think I would actually feel that way about being kicked out of a program that's kind of dodgy? Yeah. No. But seriously, firstly, thank you to every single person and ambassador that still remains in that program that did in fact reach out to me just to check up on how I was doing and say I'm sorry and just talk to me and express their feelings. It really means a lot to me, and I wish you all the absolute best, and honestly I'm kind of scared for you all right now. Firstly, I'd like to welcome on in the land stuff who are probably watching this, and secondly, everyone in my community, and I want to thank you all as well for all of your support and just for being here and listening to my story today. Yes, you read that title correctly, and I don't blame you if you feel like you've got deja vu, because yeah, another ambassador's been kicked out, another year, another booting. I mean, who is it gonna be next year? At this point, we really don't know. Maybe it'll become like an annual thing, sort of like the Met Gala, but yeah, I found out about this purely from people messaging me, so how fun's that? So if you're anything like the ambassadors who did reach out to me, you're probably all wondering what on earth happened, and honestly, so am I. In fact, I have asked 6 times now for a better explanation, for details, for specifics, for the evidence that I have been told that there is, and I have been ignored, just like completely sort of overlooked, and still nothing has happened, and I find that incredibly disgusting, to be completely honest. So let's start at the beginning. So I woke up on the 5th of May pretty early. I was in New York, I was spending time with my family on vacation, and I woke up to 5 messages from 5 different people basically saying, hey, I heard about what happened on the land, are you okay? I'm sorry, like I feel like this is wrong, and I just sort of look at my phone and I was startled in shock, and I'm like, what now? So I try and log on to the LAN, and usually it would just log me in straight away and I can access all of their forums, but this time around I just got the public pages that I recall seeing from when I initially signed up for the program, but my account was still logged in. I had been completely booted off the forums and all of that, so instantly I go and check my email, and lo and behold, there's an email in my inbox saying that I have a LAN support violation. That is literally the subject of the email. Now I'm not going to read the entire email, but I will be taking quotes from it because I feel like I need just to basically explain what exactly I've been told and how minimal what I've been told is. So in this initial email, all I was told is, we have evidence that you have shared embargo and confidential products and information with another content creator, which has resulted in the immediate offboarding of HollyOnFilm from the land recognition program. They then talk about how they were open to have a conversation and sort of discuss why this offense is so serious, but besides that, they have given no specifics to what I've actually done. Now I find this really interesting as well, because any products that I have been sent recently have all been revealed for about a month now. There is also no sharing of information. In fact, I barely download press kits, or haven't, I mean I can't now, but like I barely downloaded any press kits over the last couple of months. Besides a few here and there, I know I did the land speeder because I wanted to try and get that done while I was on holiday, because that was going to be revealed, and I remember definitely downloading like Boba Fett recently so I could make some thumbnails, but for the most part I just hadn't downloaded any because there wasn't many sets that I actually cared about seeing particularly early. I was like, I'd rather just log on to Instagram one night and have them pop up at me. And also, just an FYI, and you probably could already see this coming from a mile away, LAN ambassadors send photos to each other. It's a thing. It regularly happens. In fact, that is literally the only sharing I have done, and pretty much every ambassador does it, to each other, because if you're gonna send confidential and embargoed products, why wouldn't you like only do it to the people who are also under the same rules and regulations as you are? Because if they're gonna share it, they're also gonna get pinged, and then you both go down together. It's like you just sort of have like this joint agreement. That is a thing, and I will tell you that right now, and myself and many other people have done it. So unless someone that I've sent something to, which even then I don't think I've gotten anything interesting enough, or that like hadn't been like revealed already in my hands, so haven't done that recently, and unless someone's like gone and dobbed me in for that, I don't think it could be that either. So I'm just like sat here like recalling everything that I have ever done and trying to figure it out, and figure out as well what is something that like no one's ever done before, or like broken a rule, and everything that I can think of either many other ambassadors have already done, or maybe it could be faked or photoshopped. I literally have no idea. They haven't told me any evidence, they haven't told me any explanation. I'm just so confused right now. And what makes me feel even worse about this is the fact that there are people who have literally leaked confidential, unrevealed products 2 people. Some people have admitted it. Like, there is strong evidence behind this. There are so many dodgy things going on in the land, and all of those people still remain. The only other person I'm aware of who has gotten booted immediately without being spoken to is one community who ended up being the source of like sending stuff to a bunch of like other people that would then leak it. So I genuinely, at this point in time, have no clue how LAN has kicked me out without talking to me and not, like, I guess even firstly told me, nor like how they're gonna justify it. Like, to me, it just doesn't make sense. I don't know what has happened. I don't know what is done. And just the way that I have been treated as well, I don't want to be back in that program. No. No, I'm sorry. No. And at this point, I don't even care that I've gotten kicked out. That program, like, it's too dodgy, it's too corrupt from what I can tell and what I can see. I don't want to have anything to do with it, especially after the way I feel I have been treated and spoken to. The best thing I think I could compare it to and put it down to is honestly Ahsoka in season 5 of the Clone Wars. I mean, spoilers if you haven't watched it, and yes, I've finished it all in case you're wondering, but she gets kicked out of the Jedi Council because they think she's like, I think it was like killed another Jedi or something from memory, and then they find out that it was like wrong and that like everything was like actually right and they probably should have trusted her. So they invite her back in and she says, no, not after the way you've treated me. Honestly, I don't think it's ever gonna happen, but if it did, if they came back and said, oh yeah, we've made a huge mistake, sorry, you can come back in, I wouldn't, just because of the way I've been treated. Already I had issues with the way that the land staff would communicate. There was just a complete absence and radio silence. In fact, there are even comments from the person who did email me mocking people, mocking content creators, mocking Instagrammers, mocking fans of the community for buying the 501st pack. And I was asking questions about what on earth is happening, and instead of answering those questions, he took a stab at 1/3 of what that entire program is made up of, which I found incredibly rude and incredibly disrespectful to do. So I just sat back and I was like, right, okay, that's how you want to talk over that, that's fine. Now, since that email was so bleak and so bland, I ended up writing a reply, and at this point, like, it was still fresh news. I'd sort of given it maybe like half an hour before writing, so it was definitely quite in the moment, quite emotional, and probably quite blunt, and maybe even a tiny bit aggressive. Here is my little email reply. You can pause to read that. But basically, I just asked, hey, where's the evidence that you said you have? Hey, what have I done? Like, this is incredibly frustrating, especially considering all of the stuff that I know other ambassadors have done. There's one person who's literally posted confidential images and is still in the program. So like, it just makes me incredibly mad. I'm not gonna name names because this isn't about them. Like, this is purely about my experience and how I've been treated. But I know that there is far worse things going on in there, and basically I want them to justify, why are you doing this to me? Why are you treating me in this way when all of this other stuff is happening? Like, to me personally, it feels incredibly targeted and incredibly just like they're picking me out and just sort of like picking on me sort of thing, and even maybe even trying to make an example out of me to all the other ambassadors in order to scare them into like behaving or talking nice about them. Like, I've been very vocal about how bad the program is and how I just don't think that the staff are very helpful, and just all of the issues I've had in regards to like review offers and leaks and their rules, and just like how bad the communication has been. And part of me even wonders, like, maybe if I sucked up to Lego a bit more, would I be in this position? I don't know. I then asked again, if possible, if I don't get any of the information that I was asking for, if I could schedule a second meeting to actually sort of go over it. And then I got this reply. And they said, I recognize that this is likely unexpected and sudden, but it will be a final decision. So if it's a final decision and I'm literally not even able to speak my case or respond in any way, then what on earth have I done and why aren't you telling me? At this point, I literally just want answers. I just want the truth, and more importantly, I want it to be treated like a human being. This thread continues on, and the more it goes on, the more frustrated I feel, because it feels like I'm talking to a brick wall. I then wrote a pretty well-worded reply. In my opinion, here again is that you can pause to read it, and I got ignored after this. I didn't get a response, and I'm like, the weekend did pass, but even on just like working days, like didn't get a response. There was adequate time. So I then followed it up with a proposed time because I sort of had a better idea of when I would be available. And then I finally got a reply back basically saying, oh yeah, like we don't want to ruin your holiday. We don't want to do it while you're away. Like we don't want to take time out of your day, sort of thing. And then linked me to the page where it says, yes, we can offboard your community without prior warning. And funny that they did link me to that page as well, because I had a good read over it and all of the rules that are currently public, and I know that there is a lot more of them hidden behind their forum which I can no longer access, but I went through and I have documented every single thing, and I have written and highlighted what I think as well are the rules and statements that they should be upholding. The most important one I found was actually on how their review process worked, where I took a screenshot and it does in fact say that, and I quote, "The ambassador will be contacted and the reasons for offboarding will be communicated." 6 emails in, I still haven't been told or communicated in any way, shape or form what the actual reason is, just given a very blanket, very brief, very open-ended reason, and it is so infuriating because how am I supposed to understand and even just move on from this situation, let alone tell you and tell all of the ambassadors who are asking me questions what on earth has happened? I want to be able to communicate this. I want to be able to explain what happened, explain my thoughts, explain what they said to you, and I can't do so because I am not told this. For them as well to be holding off this information, presumably until I talk to them in a meeting, feels very suspicious and very fishy to me. Part of me questions, it's like, alright, well, like, do they believe that, like, their evidence is strong enough? Do they believe that, okay, maybe, like, we're stretching a tiny bit? Do they, like, think that something's gonna happen? Like, I genuinely don't know why they wouldn't communicate this to me. Like, if someone has committed something that they believe is so serious that it involves, like, kicking someone out on the instant and just, like, flicking them away or something, like, I don't know, to me that feels like, oh yeah, like, yeah, we should probably tell them. Like, it feels like I'm not being treated like a human for that reason. It's like I am incredibly anxious over this whole thing and I've expressed that to them and they still refuse to tell me. I'm like, you expect me to sit down for 3 weeks and be questioning what is happening every day? Like, you ruined my holiday firstly by even telling me this. I then take an entire day off from doing stuff, so firstly I could get some work done and I could speak to you and you tell me that you can't do that and you still refuse to tell me exactly why. I feel incredibly disrespected, and please, anyone who is watching this, correct me if I'm wrong, but that is how I feel that I have been just sort of treated by the staff. Now, I understand that you would have a bunch of other meetings that cannot be moved during the day and not be able to meet. I understand that, that's fine. But to propose a time that is 3 weeks away and still not explain to me and expect me to sit here for 3 weeks not having an answer, I find incredibly, incredibly rude, to be completely honest. Like, if you know that you can't speak to me for 3 weeks and you're busy, that's fine. I respect that you are busy and have a ton of other things to do. However, it doesn't take that long to write up a brief explanation in an email with a tiny bit more detail. The fact that everything has been so brief and so blanket and just so plain, it doesn't make sense to me. And I knew that Lego's communication was bad just because of the fact that I would be asking, hey, what's happening with this promo? Hey, what's happening with this set? And it would take a couple of days and a couple of pings to even get a reply. I would ask questions and instead of answering the question, they would sort of just do something, which looking back makes it feel like they were just doing it to shut me up or stop complaining or something. Like, it's just, I don't trust this program. I think it's incredibly corrupt, and I have evidence and proof, depending on what they even come to me with, about how badly they play favorites for people. I mean, everyone's, I think, suspected it for a while. I've definitely suggested it as well, that LAN they pick favorites and they play favorites and they will, like, praise and, like, highlight all of these communities. Even if they, like, slipped up and fell on their face and did the absolute worst thing possible, they would still come and defend them. In fact, there's a story actually that I've heard from 3 different people about something similar to that. But then other ambassadors who maybe they don't like as much, like, they're just gonna send them on their way. It's also felt like recently that they have been trying to get people out. There have been a couple of cases that have happened. One group got all of its support revoked. They were called mistakes and that it shouldn't have happened, but didn't have any notice. Apparently this was supposed to happen 2 years ago and all of a sudden the rug got pulled out from under them. Like, to me, Like, if you're gonna remove something like that and just tell people, hey, look, this wasn't supposed to happen, that should have been communicated the moment they found out and not 2 years later. Like, it's just, they've been pissing a lot of people off recently, and it's just overall not been good. On top of all of that, there was recently a post as well that said, hey, there's a lot of ambassadors who don't have an up-to-date LAN profile, who don't have an active website or active socials, and I'm just looking at it, I'm like, how many people are actually visiting my LAN profile? Why does that matter? That's literally a thing for any other ambassadors. Like, why does it have to be up to date? Secondly, like, if you're not having active socials and active websites, like, it sounded like, hey, you should do that or we're gonna kick you out. To me, it doesn't make sense. And if they're gonna start kicking people out because they don't have a website, like, it feels very targeted, especially towards, like, the influencer type of things. Like, it just proves to me again that LAN isn't built for people like myself. There's also just been so many snide comments toward content creators. Like, I've had so many things happen to me. Like, I remember when I first joined, there was another ambassador who called out my name and my profile picture for having minifig in it and for being a minifigure, and then I've had people criticizing my content because I wanted to be able to talk about text-based leaks, and overall, like, there were ambassadors that just didn't make me feel welcome. And then I've had experiences with the staff that were even worse. A couple of months ago, I applied for tier 2 and I basically sort of got a rejection letter, and similarly at the time as well, there was a discussion going on about how this program really isn't benefiting or helping sort of like the more influencer type communities in regards to just like review offers and support and things like that, because there were so many things happening. Like, communities weren't getting their primary theme. I didn't get offered the Lego Harry Potter promotion from last year. I found out that review offers went out and I submitted a question basically being like, hey, like, what's happened? How come my community got skipped? Did it actually get sent out? Like, can you let me know if that is true? And they just said, hey, yeah, we've sent it to you, sort of thing. And I guess that was just like good enough for them, but like, I never got an explanation to why I got left off, or like, no, they never even confirmed, hey, yeah, they did get sent out. Like, there was literally nothing. And I'm pretty sure that whole conversation about me just being like, hey, look, this system doesn't work, I feel like it needs to be branched off and like split up and be two different things, like, this feels very much focused on like lugs and all of that. I don't think they were very happy, because they sat down and had a conversation with me and basically, to me, felt very rude. They were like, hey, you were incredibly aggressive on here. And I was like, well, I'm sorry if it came across that way. I'm just trying to express my thoughts and how this program could be better. They even questioned if I wanted to be in the program, to which I said yes, and that's the whole reason why I'm trying to communicate my thoughts and ideas and suggestions for improvement. Overall, the whole tone of that conversation, looking back, was incredibly condescending. And during that meeting, my tier 2 application was discussed, and I was told specifically that LAN is a marketing tool, which I find incredibly interesting, because the whole point of LAN is that they publicize, hey, no, it doesn't matter how many views you have, it doesn't matter how big your community is, it's all about like how close you are, sort of thing. And then they explicitly say it's a marketing tool. It just feels like they're constantly lying at this point. I also got told that basically, like, you're still young, you've got a lot of maturing to do, which, looking back now and reflecting on that conversation, basically feels like I'm being told that I'm immature, which I feel like is just sort of what they're taking from what I'm posting or what I'm saying. I mean, it's not an uncommon thing for corporations to sort of like get mad or just like not agree with like younger employees. Like, it happens in a ton of other industries and a ton of other workplaces. And I feel like that's because just younger employees are not going to put up with just like things not working. Just Too Good left because he felt like things weren't working. M&R Productions got kicked out because he was too vocal about the things that the employees and Lego was doing as a company, and they didn't like that. But the one that stuck out to me, and this is one that I just kept to myself for a really long time, but since I'm talking about sort of everything that's happened and just my thoughts and my experiences with LAN, I thought I would tell you. They also did say to me, hey, we're not going to upgrade you to tier 2 because, you know, you've had a lot of mental health issues recently, like it's a big workload, like we don't want to overwhelm you, we don't want to make things worse. And at this time, I felt like I had been pretty good for like a couple of months at this point, like 2-3 months. Like, I had been completely solved, and also during that time period they told me that it's okay, like, we will support you. So for another employee to turn around and basically, in my opinion, discriminate against me because I have had mental health issues in the past, I feel like is incredibly disgusting, and honestly looking back feels very condescending as well. I understand not wanting to take a risk, but to explicitly say that, hey, yeah, that's a reason along with these couple of things to why you're not being upgraded, like, oh yeah, you should try again when you're feeling a bit better or you're a bit older and a bit more mature. Like, I look back and I'm completely shocked now. I feel like I didn't even like comprehend what had actually happened or been said, but just this one employee just has done so many things now that I look back and I'm like, okay, wow. In that same meeting too, they did bring up that message about how I was questioning why I didn't get sent a review offer and basically shamed me for begging for sets. I said to them, like, I don't want to word this in a way that basically says like, hey, give me free Lego, and they told me, but that's exactly what you did. And just all of these things combined and put together have made me incredibly frustrated. I've had so many issues with ambassadors, like I said, those other few things happening of people criticizing my content and my username. There was even someone who tried to call me out in order to justify their actions, which again, I felt incredibly just like affected by. I mean, it was rude, just to put it quite blankly. I was like, why are you doing this on a public forum? And same deal with these other two examples. Why is this happening on a public forum and not behind closed doors with staff? And I've said this on streams and things for a while now. I also feel like LAN has tried to control far too much in just general. Like it's an unspoken thing. Like basically they say to you, hey, like you can say whatever you want, like it's okay. But at the same time, if you say something or you say the wrong thing, like they will get mad at you. And like it feels very much like they've got their ambassadors on a leash. And that is always how I felt. I felt like I couldn't be completely open when it came to Lego as a company. With sets, I never have felt like I had any issues. I could say what I want and I was going to say what I want. I had no fear of ever losing any of my support or my review offers, and I think that as well is why I'm sitting here right now not caring at all that I've been kicked. I care more so about how they have gone about it and how they have treated me. That is what makes me angry and that is what makes me upset. So with all of these like unspoken controls, and basically it feels like the entire program is being run on fear right now. Fear of someone dobbing someone else in and like having someone turn their back on you. Fear of LAN basically reviewing things and being like, oh yep, like if they've got written on their website, hey, we could kick you out at any time, like I would be terrified. And I feel like they are making a statement or like making a thing out of me, basically being like, hey, don't be like that person or you will get kicked out, in order to scare people. Like that's what it feels like to me. I feel like I'm like being villainized on that platform, and like I have no clue like what they're saying about me. If it's anything like any of the other ambassadors, it's not going to be good. They have said things about Just Too Good, basically being like, oh, this dude is left, he's doing whatever he wants on his own channels. Oh no, we don't like that. He's posted a photo of Shang-Chi sets clearly in a store. Like, yeah, we're never working with him again. They have pointed out and made fun of M&R Productions for that 501st photo, and I look at these two examples and I'm just like, wow, that's good to know. So who knows what the staff would be saying about me after this whole situation blows over, but at this point I do not want to be involved with that program anymore, and I will make another video as well once I do have that meeting and find out more information, because I want to know for my own sake, and I want to be able to tell you guys as well, because this doesn't just affect me, this affects every single one of you, because at the end of the day now I will not be getting access to early sets, so I can't produce early reviews for you. So there will be a shift in content. I don't know how major that will be, but it definitely will happen. Like I will be buying sets on release day. I'll probably do a lot more release day vlogs also as a result of that, which honestly I'm actually kind of excited for, and I definitely think this is a blessing in disguise, because from the looks and sounds of things and just the overall feeling I've gotten with just the program recently, and it is not just me thinking this as well, there are tons of other ambassadors that have said the same thing, it just feels like this entire program is like purposely trying to piss people off, to either like get them to leave or to quit, or they're trying to kick people out, and overall it just feels like it's going down the toilet. I am still in shock at the way that they have like acted and handled this situation. I think it's incredibly unprofessional. I have dealt with several companies, especially like big film production companies. I've dealt with Sony, I've dealt with Panasonic, I've dealt with a variety of giant Australian banks, and I have never had issues or anything like that. I have never had the communication as badly as I have had from the LEGO Ambassador Network. And that being said, that doesn't represent all of LEGO. LAN is one very small corner of the LEGO group. I have zero problems with any designers. I have zero problems with majority of ambassadors. I love the product. I love the retail stores. I love the retail store staff for the most part that I've all interacted with. There are so many great aspects to this company, but this very small section, it feels incredibly toxic and incredibly corrupt to me, and like I'm very glad, honestly, that I'm not involved with it. And judging by the language that I have gotten in the emails, there is probably no chance that I would ever be able to join that program again. I feel like just the fact that they did it instantly and it brought up like confidentiality, like that's a big no-no. Like it's not one of those cases where they're like, yeah, we'd like you to reapply in the future. Like, and just all of the like responses I've gotten, like they have burnt every single bridge that there was. Like that is the one I got this morning, basically being like, yeah, we can't do it. That was my final straw. Like I can't. The fact that you still haven't told me what I have done almost a week later after asking 6 times, and I have tried to ask as respectfully as possible as well. It's also been like at least 6 or 7 hours since I sent that email, and it is still the middle of the working day. I haven't gotten a reply. Like, I don't know what they expect. Did they expect me to sit here and say nothing? Like, no, I want to tell you what's happened. I want you to be aware of what's going on. Like, I'm not just gonna sit here and do nothing. So that is what's been going on. I'm now gonna sort of move on from this until that meeting and move along with my holiday and just enjoy what I've been doing. I've got a couple of vlogs and other fun things coming up, and I'm very excited, but I wanted to let you all know at least what I know now and what I've gone through and basically how I'm feeling and my experience. And again, I will update you when I find out more, because I think that's only fair, not just for my sake, but for yours. I think it's really important to know, because also how am I supposed to, I guess, just like move on or learn from this or grow if I'm not aware of like what I've done? So yeah, that's my feelings overall. But yeah, LEGO kicked me out. They broke up with me, and I mean, I was probably gonna quit at the end of the year anyway, just because I wasn't a fan of how things were being run. I just wanted to try and stick it out and see if some of the changes that they'd spoke about were gonna be implemented. So like, I'm not heartbroken. I'm doing all right as well, for anyone wondering. I'm just incredibly frustrated at how things are being handled, but otherwise I'm fine. I've tried to set up my channel in a way that I don't have to rely on the LAN, just because it was so unreliable as a program to begin with. Like those embargo dates in February, that was terrible. Like that was really bad. So I think I'll be fine, and I definitely don't feel like I've got anything to worry about. I feel like as well, there's probably going to be a lot more that comes out of this than like being stuck in a network that sort of like is very controlling, and again, just overall what felt like a very toxic environment. I feel like my mental health, besides the anxiety from not knowing, has honestly overall increased. It's been very nice. So thank you all very much for your support, and I'm very sorry if you felt like I have let you down from the whole like being kicked out thing. I do feel incredibly bad that like this does affect you, and I'm sorry firstly for you guys, and I want to keep you updated and let you know what's going on. But thank you so much for just sitting and listening to everything I have to say. If you've made it this far, geez, thank you so much. I'm sorry for boring you, but thank you for your support and for helping me out and for getting me to the point I am now. I feel like I grew so much before I was in the program. I grew a lot and really took advantage of the program while I was in it, and I'm incredibly excited for this next chapter, and I'm really interested and really eager to hear what they have to say when I meet up with them. Who knows, maybe they won't meet up with me now after making this video, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's all I have to say for now. I cannot wait to move on from this and just move on with my life. Yeah, so again, thank you very much. I'm gonna go and edit this and post it, and I will see you all later. Bye!